these are the topics actually which we are going to cover in the whole course, like uh, overall ETL overview, and then why we are doing data migration, what is the requirement of ETL. All these basic things we'll discuss it today. But as it is a demo presentation class, so it can't cover everything. But on basic point, what are the things, what are the components we need to learn going ahead for BODS, and how it will helpful in project to migrate data from. Um, so why ETL like going to use nowadays? Looking at the growth of business, there are a lot of data. We are dealing with day-to-day data, and there are piles of data um getting loaded in the system in every client. They are doing their business, so they are using some traditional system, and some of the projects or some of the companies are using new system. And where data is in the traditional system, it is not easy for business to do all those day-to-day activities smoothly, because the data, the type of data and the calculation and the reporting proposed, whatever business using day-to-day activities, it's not easy. So they try to use a good system which will hold the data, and they can do the day-to-day transaction activities smoothly. So that's the reason they migrate to a different system. And if they are migrating to a different system, it's not only interface, or the all the interfaces like functional, technical, uh, they do build, and along with that, most important thing is data, because everybody is dealing with data. So it's very integral part of any solution business is looking into it. So that's why ETL came. So usually we have a source system and then target system. So yeah, so this is the slide. We have the extract process. We are always we are bringing data from a database, which stores the data of source system, and then we do all the activities, all the transformation activities, or complex calculations, or the mappings as expected from the business. So we need to perform that, and then the final transform data, which will be loaded into a new system. So that system, that interfaces will be different than what is there in the source, or it might be a different scenario altogether. It might be a merger scenario. We are migrating to a different entity in the same system. So we load the data in the process, so that whatever data in the source system will be there in the target system. So that matching is called like reconciliations. Business will compare what is there in the source and what are the new values for the old values are correctly migrated or not. So in the final steps, we get the business approval to get the sign off for this data migration. So this is just three steps basically: extract, transform, and load. And in detail, we'll discuss more what are the extraction steps, and then what is transformations, what are there in the transformations, what are the mappings, and SQL or query transforms, what are the important transforms we are using in BODS. And then the load methods, we have different load methods into the system, like IDOC, BAPI. If you are loading into SAP, we are using LTMC for S4 HANA data migrations, then LSMW, which we are using for ECC data migrations, and also the ABAP programs. So these are the things we'll see, and we'll test in the system. We'll do some hands-on how we can load the data, but it's mainly on BODS. So from BODS, we execute the job and we post the data using IDOC mainly. So we'll show that. Okay, so coming to In detail, in extraction, what we do, we gather the data first. So it will be raw data, whatever there in the system. So we gather those informations, and it might be a flat files or a tables. So everything should be structured in tabular format so that we can read the data correctly, and multiple times if it is required we can read it. And once we read the data from the table or from the flat files, so then we need to see whether those data having some duplicated or some unwanted informations which we need to be cleansed, so that it will be in a proper readable format before doing any transformation or mapping. So that is data cleansing activity we do. If there is some duplicates, we need to fix those issue and remove those duplicates data. And if some special characters or some unwanted information, that also we need to exclude. Yeah. So on transformations, so once we have the cleansed data in the extraction steps, so we have different rules and different mapping criteria in BODS, different transformations we are using. We convert those data. If a business need the data as it is in the system, then we don't need to do any mapping. We just pass the data as it is. But in some cases, the mapping is required because we are changing the system. In different system, business maintain some standard data like company code, uh, account information. So those are different from the source system. So in that case, we need to replace the old values with the new values. So we do cross reference mapping, those mapping, and then there are some certain rules like based on some fields. We need to apply those rules in BODS. We'll see more in hands-on classes. And then lookup tables, if you are doing data validations. Data validations or some data we are looking up in different tables. We can use the lookup functions inside the table. Like if you have old data and new data mapping, then lookup we can use table lookup function we can use to map it to a new value. And then the another function is combining the data. So if you have sources from multiple systems, so then if you want to merge those data with the same structure or different structures, we can use the uh, merge transform to combine the data. And these are the standard checks we do. And then verification and validity, we are using validation transforms. We have different kind of validations like mandatory field checks. The data should be mandatory, or any formatting length check, or we are checking any global cross-reference data. Some data need to be part of some standard global cross-reference table. And then check table validations, we do that using a lookup functions that check tables. And standardization of code, like what are the standard code we are going to use. So we need to maintain some standard naming convention, like um, the code name or data flow name or workflow name inside uh, code. We need to do that. So then it is load, the last step. After we have a valid data after doing the validations, so we need to come up to the load stage. uh, so in the final system we need to store. So it can be in data warehouse, or it may be some other system. So it can follow star schema and snowflake schema approach, and
Okay.
also
Mukesh, can I ask you something over here? Your last bullet interests me a lot. Can you explain me the star schema and snowflake schema?
yeah. So this is normally we have like multiple tables. Like we have, when we are loading the data, so we have multiple data coming from multiple tables and multiple segments. Like for example, we have IDUC, right? So when we are reading into IDOC, in our IDOC, like for customer master, we have different views for customer masters. So, but the basic data will be the customer K and A1. So that
Right.
is general data will be the basic data, and then we have extension data like K and B1, and then we have sales order K and VI, then partner. So everything is like it's like link to that K and A1. So it looks like a star, like K and N in the middle, but everything is joined there, so that when the data will get loaded, every time it will go through the K and A1 and then load the data. So it looks like a star schema. So it
Okay.
will star schema approach. Yeah.
So basically, you're saying when we link the tables, the data flow look like a star or look like a snowflake, right?
Yeah. Snowflake is the extended star schema, but if it will be
Okay.
like uh, inside one segment is another segment. So like we do in purchasing and partner. For example, I'm considering vendor masters. So in vendor master, inside purchasing we pass the partner, and or inside company code we pass the withholding tax. So it will be just additional linkage to that segment. So that will be extended star schema like structure. So that is
Got it.
Snowflake schema.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that is the use. Yeah. Batch and real, usually in the project we do batch in real time, like messaging format, like taking the source and target and put message as the output. It's rarely maybe 2% of the projects do that, but usually you will find BODS where we create most of the batch jobs. Okay, can you any question on the basic understanding? If you have any
N-
questions, I
Nothing,
can
nothing at this
explain it.
moment. For now, we are okay. Now, I think we're okay.
Okay,
Shalini,
good.
you have any?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So yeah, so this is just pictorial representation of the all those three process. Like in extract, you can see the source system can be a database or application, or it can be a Excel file or XML or any text file. And like in transformation, you can see in the middle phase, we are going step by step. First, we extract the raw table just as it is, and then we do the cleansing, then transform, that is staging part, and then we test the load in the target system, like the test file we create, and the validation. After applying the validation, we find the actual table, and then in the load files we prepare the file and then load into the target system. So this is just the pictorial representation which we are going to do. So, yeah, these are some basic advantages why we are doing the ETLs. Uh, okay, so it is really simple and faster and cheaper development, because like when people do lot of transactions, like some company, like for example Walmart, when do they do daily lot of transaction, and their data is huge. So most of the things they use some big data, some coding approach, and big data for doing that transactions. And um, in that case, the resources they are using, it might be costly, because they need some resources who need to be very well in big data. But in this case, in SAP developed such tool, BODS, so it's very easy to understand. Even if you are a new joinee, you can easily understand this tool better. You don't have to, if you are not good at coding also, you can still utilize this tool to migrate the data, because it's very cheaper also, and it's very simple, and you can do it in fast. And also ETL tool provide a metadata repository. We have like lot of data store we create, and it's acts like a metadata. We store every information, like we create different kind of connection to system. It might be a database connection, or it is a data warehouse. It can be a web service. So from different system, BODS synchronize the data automatically. So it's very good to extract the data once all the data are synchronized. And all the built-in connectors from all the all the major RDBMS system, like it already have the inbuilt. If you are trying to connect to any system using a data store, you need to create a new data store. When you right click and create a new data store, you'll have a different option to connect, like it will be a SQL Server or Oracle or SAP HANA, so or any um, uh, SAP BW. So all kind of connectors are available in ETL. So it is easy to connect with any system which nowadays business use. So ETL tools allow reuse of the existing complex programs. So if you have developed any programs for migrating one data, you reuse in your next project or next cluster or next similar kind of requirement. You can reutilize, just changing the structure or changing the connection in the database. And it's very user friendly because it's visual development environment. So you have a GUI where we'll drag and drop the tools whatever available in system, like data flow, workflow, and whatever we do, like taking the source system and writing queries. Everything is very visually integrated, and so you can easily add and develop whatever you want to do. So yeah, so you can do scheduling, like job scheduling. If you have created multiple jobs, so all the scheduling sequencers and documentation are available in SAP management console, like BODS management console. You can use that.
Okay,
And
Mukesh,
there
I'm
are,
going to ask you something on the bullet number 3. You mentioned something, data stores, right? Data stores are way of connecting to an existing ERP, an existing database. It can be DB2, it can be SQL Server, it can be anything.
yeah.
While we will be running this training, do you have any setup? Will you show us how to connect, how to build a data store, what settings are required?
Yes, we need server details, like in database, what are the details we need. We need that connection details, so we can show like what I can show you, I can show on database part. But if in something demo system I'll get for SAP from ECC system, definitely I'll show you how it getting connected and how we do that connection, and then after connection how it helps. Like we copy the structure, and then we refresh the data, and then we get the data and to the target system.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, and coming to the last point, yeah, the ETL tool offer various performance optimization options such as parallel processing, complex load balancing. So these are something like if you have very complex jobs, so you are doing parallel activities inside a job. So we can keep the data flow in parallel so that the performance will be better. And there are a lot of techniques to balance the load, or to minimize the execution time. So there are other techniques which in detail I can explain in tool, like we have like auto load, auto correct load option, and we can use multiple loader in the target tables. So those are some things we do when we have a complex or very huge data we are managing. So in that case, we need to use this performance optimization technique. As coming to the challenges of data migrations, so BODS is very good tool, but still there will be a challenges for data migrations. Mainly nowadays, like we have data in different format. You can see in internet, in social media. So the data formattings are very different. It's not everything is in tabular format. So it can be a picture, it can be some address detail. So that is a challenge for all the data developer, a data scientist or data analyst to gather those informations and transform into a tabular format or structured format so that we can migrate to a different system or we can use those data. So data also doubles in every 18 months. So it's a huge amount of data we are dealing with every day, and it's getting multiplied. And most of the data are unstructured. So that is a big challenge. So yeah, so looking at that, we need to work more on this, and we can avoid this problem. Yeah. So in that case, if we data challenges always like will make us to uh, make a strategic approach to handle those situations, like if those data are not accessible or inconsistent or inaccurate. So in that case, incomplete data, uh, then what are the strategy we need to make it, and what are the rules we can apply in BODS to avoid these problems. Like for example, I'm not discussing much detail all these points, but I can give one example, like a name, like here in the name customer 123, the, the name, there will be some additional letter or number into the name. So in that case, so that can be handled through BODS. Like it will just check what are the additional letters or any email addresses associated with this, or any space or special characters. So those things, those challenges can be eradicated through BODS, some quality transform. So those things you need to think, like how we can avoid and how we can fix those data. But not everything we can fix now, because most of the data in unstructured format. Profiling and cleansing. Yeah. So profiling and cleansing are integral part of this data extraction and transformations, because without cleansing the data, or without the right data, we cannot move ahead. So that's the reason we need to do a data enhancement by using some standard transformation. Like we in BODs we have match transformations, like compare between the system, if any duplicate data is there, any addresses already there in the system which is matching, or any email addresses, or VAT ID, tax ID, this kind of master data information mostly we need to check. uh, that is called like we need to profile the data and clean if it is required. Otherwise, if it is a structured data, then we can directly use that data for the data migration approach. Yeah. So profiling, a few examples, like what are the profiling we do. Like there are some mandatory fields in system, in SAP it is defined, but there are some null values, or blank values are there. So we don't need those data where it is null. So then we don't have to keep it in our extract table, so we can exclude those records. Then we don't need any duplicate data and special characters. So all these things, before taking to the staging, we can do this activity after just landing the table. Yeah. So if we are clear on this, because these are the day-to-day activity we do in data migration projects. So while just preparing the data.
And this is all done in boards.
Yeah, we can do in bots, and also like if you have very less data, we can do in Excel also. Like in some functional person in projects, they do some activity like they are not going to provide this file to the data migration team, like functionals, they do their self using Excel as well. But in BODs, if you can give, and there will be certain rules, and you clearly define, yeah, null values are not required, then duplicate check, all these steps we can do in BODs.
Okay.
Yeah, these are things. Yeah, this is just one example, like input, whatever input records, like here you can see the email addresses, and then we have date of birth, address, and how output should be uh, from one email addresses, and from one addresses, how we can categorize all the part, like first name, last name, and then what is the post name, gender, because in the input record you can see no header information, so it's just written in some format, uh, business use, but we need to make in such format which we can read into one table. So that's the reason, like company name here it is Future Electronics, but in input you can see it is Future Electronics. All this category we can do this segregation using cleansing. So cleansing can be done during match, transform, and some other transform also there, which we can see while doing some hands-on experience and while going into more details. Uh, yeah. Please go ahead. So those things we discussed more on less on BODS overview, not BODS overview, ETL overview, why all these steps we are doing. But on technical point on BODS, what are the components are there? Now we'll check that. But today, as we are not going to cover everything, so in BODS also we have some components which we can discuss today. So it is like, let's coming to the BODS as a background, like fact. We'll discuss more about the fact on BODS. Yeah, in 2007, BO was the BO was there. So SAP acquired business objects. So from then, uh, business object data services tool development started, and it was there for non-SAP source data extraction to SAP. So mainly it was planned to get the data from non-SAP to SAP, because that was the most challenging things during that time. So mainly this data migration, SAP best practices for data migration. So these are some solutions which are part of BODs. So these are built in, like what are the solution it includes. So those things we are going to discuss, uh, like load structures and SAP BODs data services. Then there are pre-built content we have in SAP. Yeah. So this is already we discussed, like legacy environment, and then how we are reconciling data after transferring the data, what we got in the source, and then now we're loading through IDOCs, then SAP configuration extraction. We have files, loading the files. So it is clearly showing what we do to migrate the data. Yeah, this is more detailed steps, like I just mentioned that what I do in extraction, like legacy system data, we just extract, like it can be master data or transaction data. So, and the next step, data mapping, which we do using different transformations, and then we have validation data, like we do data validations, like validation transformation, and then we do data load. Already I just told that we use different system, uh, different method using IDOCs or LSMW or LTMC, or it can be file upload. And the last step, we do the reconcile data. We do the reconciliation because whatever data was there in our preload file, or it was in our business requirement, are those data are already in the target system or not. So that comparison we do in the last step, so that everything is loaded with 100% accuracy. Yeah, these are some SAP, some standard object names, it is part of like you'll find in most of the client, most of the projects that are dealing with either master data or transaction data. They will have some of the objects are part of this already. Like you can find cost center, GL account, and on master data point, on finance part, you can see cost center, GL account, and then you have internal order, fixed asset, and if you come to procurement, then we have vendor master, indirect PO, then direct procurement also there. If you come to customer and sales, it will be customer master, sales orders. So, manufacturing and supply chain part, if you coming to that, material masters also different parts also there in material master, classification, inspection types. So all these are the standard objects when you work for a project, you'll find, and you need to work to deliver this kind of projects. This is just example, like transaction data, we do sales orders, then purchase orders, then we have open item for GL, open items, then open AP, open AR. So those are the transaction data.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's fine, Mukesh. I'm almost we are almost loading every single object which was used other than ACM. We're migrating every single thing, so we're fine. Go ahead. Yep, that's
Yeah, more or less. I mean, as it's not about the hands-on, so I'll discuss the same thing, right? So, like it's better to show in the system, but as the system is not ready at this moment, I can only explain all these things. Like this is the actual architecture. So, repository in the middle, it'll see like a star, like everything is associated with the repo, because before doing some project development in BODS, we need access. So it
yep.
will be local repository where we need to do all these things. Yeah.
So Mukesh, I'm going to make it easy for you, Ranashish. Okay, this is where exactly I want to start from. Whatever you told me, I know it to the core. Shalini know it to the core. What we really need to understand is the Windows designer, the web IDE work, the repositories, creation of repositories, the data stores, and data flow. You see when you say administrator web, so those data flows, this is what we are targeting. Okay,
Yeah.
one couple of examples. We don't have to build 20 examples. Like, we can build one example of customer. We go through different data flows. Okay, apply the first data flow where you take 10, let's say 1,000 customer, and you put a filter on duplicate, and then you do some other filter, and at the end we create a local staging table which is ready. And how do we log into repositories, and how do we build data store? That's what we are targeting. Because whatever you said, with all due respect, we all know it already. Okay, as I told you, that I've spent many years in SAP. Believe me or not, if you ever come and talk to me, you will be amazed at how much cross topics we know it, right? But this is the screen. This is our target to learn about the designer, about the metadata, about the web IDE, which is about web designer, repository, and data stores, and creating local staging tables, those kind of things. Okay, because as you said, very right, you don't have system, and this is more of a system work, and we are very application people. Okay, because okay, and in the world of SAP, when you are an application people, you like to see things in application.
Exactly. So this was a demo session, and we met some people.
Yeah.
But every session will be like because we requested for the demo system access, right? So before showing something in the system, in the tool, so we need to
Absolutely.
use some training
I
system.
agree with you. What you did is amazing, because your only thing is because you're teaching somebody who already knows it. But if there was a beginner sitting in the class, they will love to listen to this. So I did not stop you in between, but I'm telling you, this is what I like it.
Yeah, this is the start of this, because
Yeah,
whatever we discuss is just introductions. If we, yeah, you are already experienced, as
right.
you said, so no need to discuss much on that. But
Yeah,
for a new user who doesn't know anything about BODS, so before showing in the tool, we discussed something in some PPT. Just for that purpose, we did it.
yeah,
Now we can work on the tool and show everything how it is actually it is working in BODs. All the
right.
structures,
So
all the relation.
when you're gonna come to Windows designer and web designer, I'm gonna behave like a beginner. I'm gonna ask you beginner's question, okay? When
Yeah,
before that we already know it. So even though I have access to, we are running entire data migration, a huge one.
mm,
We have access to every single thing, but I don't get time to take a formal training. So this I want to as I said, you can start from here, make a formal training of that, and from day one, whatever you told us, that is good. You don't need to repeat that. We will start from somewhere. Hey, guys, you told me you already know that. Let's start from here. So it will save you some time.
understood.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, then yeah, we'll plan some another class after system is ready. Then I will
Right.
directly go there, and not to discuss much on that, because we already discussed. So I'll
Yeah.
come and directly log in and show you in the system.
Yeah, perfectly. So think about a scenario, right? Uh,
Okay.
one good test case scenario that, okay, let's think about somebody has given you an Excel sheet which has 100 rows, or there's a data source like ECC, and we're going to pull up KNA1 from there, and then we're going to apply some filters. Okay, okay, the
Yeah,
first name, last name.
I have multiple scenarios I have in my
Perfect.
working
Perfect.
day-to-day projects, right? But I cannot use my project system here to show you.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
No worries. I will actually show you what we did it. You will see that, I have a third party who's doing that. The team is really, really good. They do very class job. And I don't get the time to, I don't want to make them work on the weekend. So I wanted to take a formal training. That's why I reach out to Ashish. So, you have a couple of examples. If you need it, I will show you my own system. I don't fear, because everything in the data in my company comes under me. All the applications comes under me. So I'm not worried. I can show you what we have built it. And then even you can tell us, okay, open this, and you can explain us our thing, because team has built it. It's just that I'm not hands-on anymore.
Yes, sure. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely I'll discuss on that if you can share. By the time we have the system ready, we are going to request, and yeah, so you can showing me.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
CMC, CMS. Um,
yeah, everything,
Perfect.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever we are using, yeah. All these about the PPT, all the components, and directly it will be in parallel. Will go like PPT, just whatever we know. PPT is nothing explain much about that. Practical
No,
knowledge
I
is
don't.
more.
I think your approach is very right for now, because
Mhm.
as I said, there will be people who have never seen boards, have never done data, have never done data migration. So it's a good stuff which you have in on the screen. It's just that your audience is little different right now, and audience will save you
Yeah,
some time, because you don't have to explain us all those. So it will help
yeah,
us save
yeah.
our
Good
time.
to
It will
know
help you
this.
save time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think.
So,
Can you go through your screens? Can you go through a couple of slides, like 10, 5 seconds?
yeah,
Let me ask you anything if I feel like.
yeah, sure. We have some screenshots here with the
Yeah, yeah,
jobs. Can you go to the next slide? Keep
yep.
going till the time I'll
Yeah,
tell you. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, this is about theory and
yeah.
go
This, can
ahead.
you hold it on over here, right?
Yeah, keep
So
skipping.
as if. Okay, perfect. Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
can
this
you
is
hold on over here? This is the main thing. You see,
yeah,
your data flow, your repositories, your designer, your monitoring, your log, and you have a source table, right? And then you putting a query, you creating a local staging table. That is something which, Mukesh, I'm very interested.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to do everything on this only. I mean, from next class onwards, everything. So all these components, whatever we discussed and we saw in previous slides, So these are the things, like we have different components like data flows, workflows. So I want to show you directly what we are doing in the data flow, because you already aware of that these things.
Mhm.
And components, like you can see the hierarchy here. So first we created a project, that is sales warehouse project area. In project area in the left corner, you can see that
Yep.
box.
Yep.
Inside project, there are multiple jobs you can see. So those jobs, once you right click on that project, you can see the jobs. And inside the job, then there are hierarchy. We can create the workflow first, and then once the workflow is created inside workflow, we can create the data flow. And data flow is the smallest unit where we can do our development. And this
Transformation.
is the like yeah, all the transformations, so all the activities we can do inside data flow. And here in this example, it is a flat file. So flat file can be a notepad, the data in the tabular format.
Yep.
We can just take those data into the table here, and we can add all multiple filters, and there are multiple scenarios I am going to show you. But this is just I'm just saying, in this query, inside this query, if you click on it, okay, it's not there. Okay, yeah. So it's more about design and demo. It's workflow, data flow. Uh, yeah, it's all the components. Can you go again? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. I think I'm very comfortable because I told
Yeah,
you
here,
what
here.
I'm setting up. The expectation is we start from there, which I told you. Everything else, I have tremendous mapping templates and iDocs and BAPIs and every single thing. We start from there, what I told you, right? That very interested to know the architecture, very interested to know how to create data stores, very interested to know that
Yeah,
it can be a local file, it can be a source table, which can be a remote table. How do we apply filters, create a local staging table, and then how do we generate an iDoc and send an iDoc to the target system?
exactly. So everything I'll show you. Everything I'll show you, and I have worked on all these things. What you are saying.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mukesh. That's helpful.
Thank you. Any question, Kasha?
Nothing. Shalini, you have any questions?
I think I'm good, Sajal.